All right, everybody, thank you. I'd like to call to order the Gary Sanitary District meeting. Today is Monday, January 22nd, 2024. Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have roll call.
Commissioner William Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Ola Morris, Commissioner Maurice Mabon, Commissioner Darnell Lyles, Commissioner William Cook,
Present.
Attorney Jewel Harris Jr., Executive Director Rhonda Anderson, Finance Manager Jerome Foster. And that's the end of roll call.
Quorum. Next, certification. Pursuant to Indiana law, section 5-14-1.5-6.1, I certify that prior to the start of today's meeting, there was an executive session held and there was nothing discussed in the executive session that was not indicated on the posted notice of the executive session. And being in compliance with Indiana state statutes, there were no final votes held during the executive session. Are there any commissioners that were sent? Hearing none. Moving on. Minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Chair, as Secretary Treasurer, I move that the minutes for the executive session, the regular meeting minutes of January 9th, 2024 be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
No, it's been properly said.
Oh, it's been moved and properly second. Roll call.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles,
Yeah.
Commissioner Mabon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes.
First meeting, I should abstain.
Typically, that'd be the case, but you don't necessarily have to, though. But typically, that would be the case. You'd abstain.
It's been moved and properly second. So we'll move on to new business.
Thank you. I recommend a motion to approve GSD payroll earnings for period ending December 4th, 2023 through December 17th, 2023, in the amount of $251,516.37.
Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
I move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles,
Yeah.
Commissioner Mabon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes.
I recommend a motion to approve GSD payroll earnings for period ending December 18th through December 31st in the amount of $260,665.64. The month of December had 3 payrolls. That's the reason why there's 2 on this agenda.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
I move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Roll call.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles, Commissioner Mabon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to 2.3.
city. Certain city affairs. Their sanitary district provides sanitary sewer services to the city of Cary. And whereas although GSD is a legal separate from the city and governed by the Code Board, GSD has historically provided financial reimbursement and or stipends to the cities and city employees in exchange for performance of certain services which assist GSD in its provide services to residents of the city. And whereas the city by and through its behavior is presenting a formal request for financial stipends to be provided by GSD to the city for payment to certain city employees in a form attached hereto as Exhibit A. And whereas approval of the GSD Board of Commissioners is required in order for the disbursement of funds to the city for payment of said stipends. Recommend approval.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
So move.
It's been moved and properly second. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles?
Yeah.
Commissioner Maybon?
Yeah.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yeah.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. You have a question?
I just have a question because this resolution's a little bit late, and I don't know when the new administration took place. And will there be retroactivity? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to 2.4. Are there any comments or questions?
Yeah, I just had a question. A lot of times we would request contractors sign or consider conflict of interest forms. Are there any? I noticed with Sender, we do have a disclosure in his packet, non-collusion affidavit. Is this something we can request from other contractors that we do business with?
Yes, we can. Typically, we do that when the situations arise. Most of these contractors provide professional services, and they do so for a variety of communities. And when and if a scenario arises where there could be a conflict, we may ask for not only the disclosure, but a request that they make of us for a waiver of the conflict. Or if we don't waive it, then we let them know a conflict exists, and it may be an impediment for us doing business on either that particular task order or in general. So it all depends on the circumstances. But yes, I agree with you that that is something that could come up.
Okay. And internal audit's not a part of that contract, correct?
Not to my knowledge, but I believe, yep, it is not.
Okay. My reason for saying that is because we do need the presence of an internal auditor. The city currently has an internal auditor, and I know we're taking care of stipends, but it would probably cost us less to utilize the city's auditor as opposed to go out and hiring somebody at $80,000 a year.
Yeah, I know there's been some discussions about including that in the budget going forward so that GSD does have an internal auditor. So I think that topic will come up again.
Any other questions or comments? And what is the pleasure of the board?
Seconds here.
Has been moved and properly second. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles?
Yeah.
Commissioner Maybon?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to 2.5. Are there any comments or questions?
I have one comment, if I could, Mr. Chair. Just for items 2.5 through 2.7, I just wanted to just make clear, and it's a comment for each one of those items, that these engineering contracts are all master services agreements. And what they do is allow for each of these engineering firms to be on call with the district. They establish their rates and kind of the general scope of their services, but they all work on a task order basis. So these task orders will come before the board for particular projects for, further approval. And I know we've had this discussion, but I want to make sure publicly it's clear what these agreements are.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
So move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Roll call? Oh, I'm sorry. It's been moved and properly second. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles? Commissioner Maybon?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris? Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to item 2.6. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Who's second, Mr. Chair?
It has been moved and properly seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles? Commissioner Maybon?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris? Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to 2.7. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Second it, Mr. Chair.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles? Commissioner Maybon?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris? Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to 2.8.
Just downstream of our sector is a track with ratings that are 2.5 apart, and it captures anything larger than that, so that these larger items won't damage any equipment downstream of the track. And it has failed our in-house maintenance department. Kind of jury rigged it just to keep it functioning, but we need a new reg assembly, and the E&I is a sole source provider. The letter is included in your board packet and requested.
Comments or questions?
So when we say sole source, this is the only company we can purchase this from, correct?
And I guess just a comment. So moving forward, I know that we have the letter, that maybe there's a document that we can accompany that, just for a brief description, the reason why, just to have that support and documentation as well. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles,
Yes.
Commissioner Maybon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to 2.9.
The flood from our primary pipelines pump to gravity treatment tanks, and from there, our gravity pumps pump the sludge, the settled sludge to the blend tank. We cannot operate these gravity pumps without grinders, and if we can't pump out of the gravity tanks, then the sludge becomes septic, it flows over the weirs, and it gets into our recycle stream, and it causes process problems downstream. And so we have to make sure that we have functional grinders at all times in order to prevent process problems. So we recommend it. And this again is a sole source provider.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board? Is there a second?
Second.
A motion's been made and properly seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyles, Commissioner Maybon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Next brings us to claims, 3.1.
Thank you. Recommend approval, ratification of GSD claim numbers 145 through 293 in the amount of $434,766.14.
Are there any comments or questions?
Oh, yeah, I have a question for Matt. Matt, I noticed we're still paying Uncommon X. Is that something that's going to be forthgoing? Okay, so that's a continuous, okay. And it's all for you, Matt, thanks. And I did have a question regarding NIPSCO. It seems like we pay them $2.4 million a year. They've just got a 10% increase, so that's going to be additional $240,000 that we're paying them. I know once upon a time we got a grant from NIPSCO for about $500,000 under the previous executive director. Are those grants still available?
Those and so those are specific. If we do a project where there is considerable efficiency realized, then we can apply for it. But don't have anything on the horizon for such.
First got on the board, they were 4.5% of our revenue. Now they're almost 8% of our revenue, and constant climbing. And I just wondered if there was any other way that we could reduce our energy costs. I know we've got a lot of land out there. I don't know if we could do, Ms. You know more about that than me, Brenda Scott Henry, solar or something along those lines, because at some point, if we're at 2.4, almost 8%, at some point we're going to be at 10, 12%. Our revenue stream don't necessarily support that. I mean, we're not generating the same type of revenue we've generated 10 years ago. So I just think at some point, if we can be more efficient, we can reduce our costs. Solar or any other kind of way, is that possible? Is that a possibility?
Give a good return on investment, we just didn't have a plan for it. So but it's something we can continue to look at. But we considered it before and it just wasn't a prospect.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Liles, Commissioner Maybon,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to information updates, 4.1, plan activities. Ms. Anderson?
January 12th, the mayor sent out information that potential employees were to report, but we have a lot of potential employees, so we had staff here from operations, maintenance, security, laboratory, collections, and then last week, we had another storm event. And, our operators not only report to work, but a lot of their work is outside. They're measuring the depth of the sludge in over 40 tanks throughout the plant. So they're in these frigid temperatures and snow. And so I just want to commend them. Domingo had a crew out doing snow removal, maintenance is here, the plant doing snow removal, the lab is here every single day, the crew is here every day. And I just wanted to commend all of these employees for their dedication and letting them know we appreciate their efforts, because most of us were in our warm, they were at home doing what they always do. The semi-annual report to the mayor was submitted. It was due on January 15th, a holiday. And so we had an extra day, and it was submitted on January 16th, and it's in the board packet. And I just want to notify everyone that GSD is hosting the Northwest Indiana Operators Association meeting here in Fort Worth on Thursday at 12 o'clock. And we will have a presenter from Western Engineering on how to design a wastewater treatment plant. So he said, and everybody's welcome. It's $25 a year for membership, but if you're not a member, it's $5, and that includes lunch. That's all I have.
Questions? Comment? All right, moving on to 4.2, construction activities. Mr. Tonk?
Morning, Board. I'm going to provide a quick update on construction activities, which will be pretty brief since most of the projects are on winter hiatus. That's I guess a good way to say it. The weather just shut the projects down so the better weather comes along. But one of the projects, we had a progress meeting this morning. That's 27th Chase Street bar screens. Zima, the manufacturer of the bar screens, are currently manufacturing the bar screens. They were to be delivered by end of December, early January. That obviously is not going to happen. We should have an updated schedule later this week, so I'll be happy to present that to the board as soon as we get that information. Yeah, the Lake Street drainage is on hiatus. The 27th Chase Street force main is on hiatus. The grid improvements project, I did get an update. There are 4 items remaining on the punch list. I tried to get an update from the Army Corps of Engineers. I think maybe one of the contacts is no longer working there because he's not returning my calls. So I'm going to keep trying to see what the status of the grid project is. And that's all I have.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Tonk? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 4.3, American Structure Point.
Good afternoon, Board. John Tucker, American Structure Point. Eric covered our one sanitary construction project we have, 27 Chase Phase 2. It is, of course, shut down for the winter and will resume once weather breaks. But if there's any other questions that I can answer the board, that project or anything else Structure Point's related to, I'd be more than happy to try.
Any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, 4.4, we have CDM Smith.
Morning, Board. Matt Bednarski with CDM Smith. You've heard some of the updates from Eric already on projects that we're currently working on, and I don't have any further updates, but happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to discussions. Is there anything that any of the commissioners would like to discuss?
Yeah, I did have a question, and it's more aligned with our 504 office. I don't know if there's any progress that's been made, or is there an anticipated reopening date?
I think that's, I think what needs to happen is we need to present in the contract that we have for, 504 to get their software equipment that is needed. And then secondly, I know we have the staffing that's there, then also the training. And it would take approximately 60 to 90 days to open up so they're fully functional as they were when it was closed.
Okay, we said 60 to 90 days. We said that in September. Do we need to bring Ross Tech out?
That was something that was discussed. Rostec is willing to come out here and can lay out the operational plan.
I guess my concern is that we pay a security guard down there and we have no activity. We just increased the last board meeting, the pay for our security services. So the place has been closed for, I don't know, since COVID, correct?
Correct.
And it was operational before the closing. So what's the difference now with the software, that the challenges that we're having now that we didn't have before?
In 2020, basically before August of 2021, we were using a system called System 36. And so we've moved over systems to UMBS during that time. I would say during that, when we was implementing it, we were in the middle of the pandemic. So the thought was the situation that we were in, when will we open? And so, now that it's coming back up to ask, when can we open it up? We went back and spoke with Ross Tech to get that materials and the software and everything to open it up appropriately. This is not something we really want to rush into because there's some compliance issues. It was especially when we're talking about credit cards, and making sure that those services and what's at the front desk is totally operational. So we don't have any issues with State Board of Accounts.
So for the last 3 years, we haven't leaned one account.
You said 3 years?
For the last 3 years, we haven't since we've got the new software, which is supposed to have a lean module to it, have we yet leaned any account?
Negative. Not only for 3 years, probably many years before that.
Any other comments? Or any other topics to discuss?
I want to ask, why was the Heartland statement of work for the field system taken?
I had requested to have it removed just to understand the budgets and set priorities, knowing that the 504 building was something that needed to be addressed as well. Just trying to see where the funding is and then setting priorities.
That's the phone, that's the upgrade on the phone system, right?
Okay. If there's no other topics to discuss, moving on to request to speak. Do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, so moving on to adjournment. Is there a motion?
Well, second, Mr. Chair.
Roll call?
No, just.
Oh, we're adjourned. Thank you again. I'd like to bring to order the Gary Stormwater Management District meeting, January 22nd, 2024. Roll call.
Director William Allen.
Present.
Director Ola Morris. Director Maurice Mabon. Director Darnell Lyle. Director William Cook. Attorney Jewel Harris Jr. Executive Director Rhonda Anderson. Finance Manager Jerome Foster. And that's the end of roll call.
Quorum. Even with the executive meeting prior to the meeting. Now, no stormwater related items were discussed. Moving on to minutes.
Mr. Chair, the Secretary Treasurer, I move that, that the minutes for the executive session and regular minutes of January 9th, 2024 be approved.
Is there a second? Motion's been made and properly seconded. There's no need for. Okay, moving on to new business. We have 2.1.
Thank you. Make a request to combine 2.1 and 2.2, since the dollar amounts are the same for payroll.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Oh,
Well, he has to go ahead and deliberate.
Oh, sorry.
no, I'm just requesting to do them together. I'll recommend a motion to approve and ratify GSWMD payroll earnings for period ending December 4th, 2023 through December 17th, 2023 in the amount of $5,239.77. And then approve and ratify a 2.2 for payroll earnings ending in December 18th, in 2023 through December 31st, 2023, in the amount of $5,239.77.
Okay, now, are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
You get You get a minute.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Director Cook.
Yes.
Director Lyles.
Yes.
Director Mabon.
Yes.
Director Morris.
Yes.
Director Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Moving on to 2.3.
2.3 is a motion to approve a professional services agreement between Gary Stormwater Management District and Center Dalton Municipal Advisors for professional consulting and financial advisory services for the year 2024. This is a renewal agreement that we had prior. We recommend approval.
Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Roll call?
Director Cook.
Yes.
Director Lyles.
Yes.
Director Mabon.
Yes.
Director Morris.
Yes.
Director Allen. The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. 2.4,
2.4 is a motion to approve a master services agreement between Gary Stormwater Management District and CDM Smith, Inc. for professional engineering services for the year 2024. Again, this is a renewal of an agreement that we've had in previous years, and we recommend approval.
Do we have any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Roll call?
Director Cook,
Yes.
Director Lyles,
Yes.
Director Maybon,
Yes.
Director Morris,
Yes.
Director Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
2.5.
2.5 is a motion to approve a master services agreement between Gary Stormwater Management District and Shrewsbury and Associates, Inc. for professional engineering services for the year 2024. This is so-
Do we have any comments or questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move for passage.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Roll call?
Director Cook,
Yes.
Director Lyles,
Yes.
Director Maybon,
Yes.
Director Morris,
Yeah.
Director Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have claims. 3.1. Mr. Foster?
Thank you. I recommend a motion to approve and ratify GSWMD claim number 7 through 10 in the amount of $25,256.57.
Do you have any comments or questions? There's no questions? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move for passage.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Roll call?
Director Cook,
Yes.
Director Lyles,
Yes.
Director Maybon,
Yes.
Director Morris,
Yes.
Director Allen.
Yes.
The vote is 5 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have information updates. Director Brenda Scott Henry.
Good morning. Oh, good afternoon. Board and staff and attendees. You have the do you have the MS4 report in your package that you reviewed? Great. Okay, so in addition to if you have any questions about the information that you received, I'd be happy to respond to any questions that you may have. But in addition to what I reported already, we have just wanted to note that at our next MS4 team meeting, which is scheduled for February 12th, 2024, we will go over information that is required for the annual report, which is due in April 2024. And that would include the attendance of our attorney, Monroe, who will help us with policy updates that are required for the ordinance that we have. And then we will also have Metrics Environmental presence to talk about how we align the policy updates from the state to what we will need to include into our ordinance. And then we will go over details that are required to report out on, for the annual report, which is due in April. So both of that, we need to provide IDEM with updates on what's going on with our ordinances, our ordinance updates, and then we also need to report out on the details of what we've done over the past year, from January to December, which is due in April. I would also like to share that the MS4, the stormwater contractors training is scheduled for March 8th. I know that at the last meeting, I told you it was in February, but due to some challenges with getting the correct trainer here, the NICEWAG group has agreed to move that date to March 8th, and it will be held at the Gary Areas Career Center. That's all I have to share with you this afternoon. If there are any questions, I'll respond.
Do we have any questions?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next, we have 4.2, American Structure Point.
Good afternoon, Directors. Chris Murphy with Structure Point reporting today. As you've heard from both Eric and John, our construction work for the Stormwater Management District is on standby for the winter, and that'll pick up as soon as the weather breaks in the spring, specifically our Lake Street Phase 2 stormwater improvement and reconstruction project. I do want to remind the directors that we do have a bid that was received for the Phase 2 construction for US 20 Complete Streets Stormwater Improvement Project back in November. Bids were received by this board, and we do have a time limitation that we have noted in the contract by such time that the bids do not necessarily have to be held by the contractor if we don't take an action on that item. So I do want to remind the board that I don't remember the exact time frame of that, but that will be coming around sometime soon if we don't take some action on those bids. That's all I have to report today. If there are any questions, please let me know.
Mr. Murphy, when did the bids come before the board, if you recall?
My recall was the meeting of November 16th, I believe.
And we haven't accepted the bids, our entity hasn't accepted the bids yet?
We did.
We did?
We accepted the bids. We just haven't
Accepted
awarded
the bids, we
contract.
haven't approved it.
So does the board need to approve it or
Award those bids,
the award?
right.
Okay. So can that come before us at the next meeting, I guess?
I can be prepared to do that. Structure Point has reviewed the bids and made a recommendation to the board.
Okay, so what is is there a contractual start date in the bids?
Yes, I believe it's, excuse me, sometime in April, John? April 1st, as there is still an outstanding piece of right-of-way that we're resolving.
There's grant money tied to that, right?
There is.
Okay. So we would be good if the board, we do the award next meeting. Would you agree?
I believe so.
You good on that?
This
Mr.
is
Chair.
using NERC funds?
No, this is a grant from the Indiana Finance Authority, specifically funding for improvements to stormwater systems on state highways.
Okay.
Mr. President, if I could? Yeah. I know this is an item that the new administration was studying to see how it related to some other city projects and kind of prioritizing, similar to the telephone system that we were talking about earlier. I think this was on that list of things that was being reviewed. So just wanted everyone to be aware of what the delay was and why it wasn't on the agenda. And I think until we get that feedback, we want to hold off on having it on the agenda.
So
Do we have like a deadline?
There is listed in the bid documents a statement that indicates to the contractor that when they submit a bid price, they only have to hold that bid price for a certain period of time. And I don't recall what that is on this particular contract, whether that's a 60-day or a 90-day commitment on that.
which one is it, John?
I don't recall.
So this is January. If we did it in November, If it's 90 days, we're running up against it.
This is not the Gary material.
Correct.
That's the one. So that was a $3.2 million.
That's correct.
Beg your pardon?
There's a, IFA,
IFA, is that Indiana Finance Authority? Okay. So there's something not part of this.
So who's ever questioning this, can they figure out between now and the next meeting so we can roll on? Government has to move ahead. It can't be stalled. So let me just make that request, Mr. Chairman. Let's finish that review up, and we need to vote on this at the next meeting. Otherwise, we're gonna lose millions of dollars.
I'll work on this. I'll work on it.
All right.
Okay.
Just a friendly reminder that we have that action item outstanding still.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
What's the deadline?
I think it's at the end of it. No, we're at it. Oh.
So the deadline, if we lie through the deadline, that would have to be rebid?
If the contractor is not willing to hold his price.
Okay.
So two different deadlines. So contractor holding his price. which
Correct.
We think is 60 to 90 days. And then the deadline for IFA, which we don't know yet. but-
yes, April 1st.
April 1st? Okay. Okay. They will have to conduct a review, so.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, directors.
Okay.
And then next, we have 4.3 Robinson Engineering.
Still morning?
No.
No, it's afternoon. Afternoon, directors. Ron Smith with Robinson Engineering. And Mr. William Cook, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your appointment. Just one update. I'm working with the engineering department on infiltration rates on the Sixth Place project. So I'll be working with Eric and Cola this week to finalize the design so we can get that out, okay? And the project also is being funded by ARPA funding from the city of Gary. So that's all I have to update this afternoon. And I'll entertain any questions that the board may have.
Any questions? All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is discussion. Are there any topics that any other commissioners would like to discuss? Or directors? All right, hearing none, are there any requests to speak?
No, sir.
All right, moving on to adjournment. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Meeting adjourned.